Hi. They are doing some yard work outside, so you might hear the lawnmower or the weed whacker or something. They're going to be doing something out there. Welcome to the Leo New Moon reading. The Leo New Moon will be happening on Wednesday, August 16th. I had to think about that for a minute. I'm like, I know Tuesday's the 15th because everybody starts school that day. So it's like we're in the middle of August already. And this year went by really, really fast. And I feel like this last part of the year will continue to be a little weird. We will have we'll have up to 7 planets at the same time retrograde through September. We'll start having planets turn direct in October, but a lot of planets aren't going to station direct until December or even in January of next year. So we still have a lot of integrating and a lot of processing to do for ourselves. That's what retrogrades are for. All of these retrogrades that are coming up are helping us to determine what the next part of our journey is going to look like. I had some revelations around the Uranus retrograde that happened last year, at the end of last year, and then Uranus went direct in January, like January 22nd or something of this year. And that's when my life turned upside down. It was insane. I was like, and then I was thinking, I was like, it's exactly it, because I'm going through my Uranus opposition. It was during my Uranus opposition. So here we are, midlife crisis time. But I feel like that happened to a lot of people this year. I feel like when Uranus went direct earlier this year, a lot of changes started. It was like during the Uranus retrograde, we saw what we needed to change and started manifesting that, but we really weren't ready for like the unexpectedness of the direct. I'm talking about all of that because Uranus is going to be retrograde at the end of August again. And for 5 months, Uranus is retrograde every single year for like half the year for 5 months. The half the year is 6 months, right? So the Uranus retrograde is just as important to us as the one that's direct. You can get, I'm going to be doing the Uranus retrograde reading. If it's not today, it'll be this weekend on Patreon, including and I'm also going to start working on the mid-month tarot readings for Patreon this weekend. So if you would like to support us on our journey here at Love and Science and be part of the community, it's only $10.99 to sign up, and you literally get all of the astrology for your rising sign, and you get extra tarot readings in Patreon. We're also going to be doing a lot of free readings over on Patreon too for the general public. So if you would like to just even start following us on Patreon, Love and Science, that information is in the description box. And you'll see how Uranus is going to help with this retrograde as well that's coming up. And I also have 44% off all of my offerings on my website right now. My birthday is just in a couple of weeks on August 30th. And so I wanted to celebrate my life this August and offer all of you 44% off of all of my readings, all of my offerings. I have shamanic journeys that you can go on with me. There's astrology readings. The cheapest reading on my website is the 30-minute recorded tarot reading that it's only like $55.44 with the discount. So using the code birthday, you can support us and celebrate my life, which is the greatest part. I also just did a video talking about my journey, and I'm going to do more of those as well. So go take a look at that. I'll link it up here. Go take a look at that video. it was really vulnerable. And that's one of the things that's happening right now with this Leo Venus retrograde. We are all under, and it's been pretty intense, I've recognized. So the Leo Venus reading is already up on Patreon. So if you become a patron today, you can find out how this Leo Venus retrograde, like, it might make sense to watch the video now and be like, oh, wow, all of those things were happening to me during this. But I'm recognizing a lot of stuff. I'm recognizing that a lot of people are really falling under that negative self-esteem spell of this Venus retrograde. Time to take my meds. And I feel like that poor outlook on yourself is also creating havoc when it comes to finances, and creating havoc when it comes to knowing what it is that you want to do. A lot of people are second guessing themselves and how they've been doing work and what they've been doing. Since the pandemic happened, I keep talking about that, but I feel like there's such a connection to the way that we interact with each other versus, how we have been living for the last 3 years, and how there's been this huge fear-based programming around it. And with this, wherever the Venus retrograde is happening for you, that's where this Leo new moon is going to be. Whatever house that Venus retrograde is happening for you, this is where the Leo new moon is going to be happening. And we have the Venus Cazimi just 3 days before the Leo new moon. So let's take a look. Let's look at what I'm talking about here. Look at what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're going to have this Venus Cazimi. The Venus Cazimi, remember, Cazimi means in the heart of the sun. The word literally means in the heart of the sun. So when Venus and the sun conjoin, Venus will be turning from an evening star, where we can see her at night with the moon, to a morning star, where we will see her just before, the sun, right? Or just before, just after, depending on, the longer she's a morning star, the easier it'll be able to see her with the sun. So there's a brand new story that is coming about with this Leo Cazimi. And we've had these nodes. We've had the North Node and the South Node square Pluto, still square about 2 degrees away. But we're still under this square to Pluto, which is really catapulting us into our future. But a lot of people are still hanging on to the past. A lot of people are talking about how sleepy they are these days. I think that this is the culprit, along with the Venus retrograde. I think both of those are really having us conserve our energy right now. We still have Saturn retrograde, and we have, planets in Virgo also. So if we're looking at whole sign houses, this opposition is still happening, and anything that happened, any kind of personal planets that are opposite Saturn in any way, shape, or form, it's going to make us tired. It's going to ask us to conserve our energy and not argue and not fight about it, and sometimes we just got to let the universe do its thing. And this is a new moon that might feel an awful lot like a full moon, where we have a lot of releasing that has to happen. I've been saying these words since June of this year, that in August, it's going to be a full month of releasing, because we have the 2 super full moons that are happening, the Aquarius full moon we had on the 1st, and the Pisces full moon that we have on the 30th. And then we have this new moon sandwiched right in between, happening on August 16th, 3:38 a.m. Mountain Time. So it'll be 2:38 a.m. Pacific, and 5:38 a.m. Eastern. time. I still have to think about that sometimes. And this new moon will be square exact at 23 degrees Uranus. And Uranus right now is in the pre-shadow retrograde. Uranus will begin retrograde on, I believe it's August 28th. August 28th begins Uranus retrograde. So we have the new moon is square Uranus. So right there, Uranus is the awakening planet. Uranus is the one that brings unexpected surprises to our life, unexpected changes, kind of rips the rug out from underneath us, if you will, at times. And so wherever the Venus retrograde and the Venus cazimi is showing you where it's time to like rebrand yourself, retell your story, be a little bit more vulnerable, be a little bit more open, be a little bit more bolder, be a little bit more brash about who you are and what you want to accomplish in this world. Uranus is here to help you with that. The problem is we don't see it as help. We see it as chaos. And we see it as like, well, here we go again. Like this is happening again, right? This is all going to happen. And it's going, that cycle that this is happening again, that cycle is going to keep on happening until you figure out what you're trying to learn, what that Uranus lesson is. And the biggest thing is that life is full of surprises. And we can take these surprises and we can learn from them and we can grow from them and we can change and we can evolve and we can be more aware and awake to what it is that we need to do on our path, or we can become angry and we can let these changes become a prison and a restriction for us in every single way. And so looking at the changes that this new moon is going to bring, we also have Mars trine Uranus. So taking action on anything that needs to change in your life is going to be really advantageous, extremely advantageous. The things that you need to be like, oh, wow, and like awake about is what is being brought to your attention right now. We also have Lilith here in the mix, and Lilith is actually going to be in the mix during the cazimi, and because she's in Leo. And so I feel like there's this feminine rage and this, and I don't really want to call it a rage, but I feel like there's kind of this feminine uprising that's happening. And in a lot of ways, we're tipping the scale almost too much to be too soft in some ways in society. And I feel like we're not really ready to have that conversation quite yet. But I feel like we are confusing the masculine energy that we all have inside of us with something that needs to be softer. And that masculine energy inside of us is Mars, is where, you know, and that masculine energy inside of us is also the way that we get things accomplished, the way that we keep pushing forward, the way that we don't give up, the way that we have perseverance, the way that, you know, we can have discipline and all of those things. But if we're not continuously showing up for ourselves, if we're not taking accountability and responsibility for our part in these things, it's always going to be a little bit unbalanced, right? And so, you know, when I say that we're trying to balance our masculine and feminine energies, that's just exactly what we're trying to do. In all of this whole world, that's what we're trying to do. And leaning more on your masculine side is, you know, is going to stress you out, and allowing your feminine flow to come in and balance that out, and not necessarily like surrender. It's not necessarily about surrendering to everything in your life. If you don't know what else to do, surrender. Right? If you've done everything that you possibly can, then surrender. After that, you let the energies of the universe happen for you, not against you, for you. We also have Mercury in conjunct Chiron. Mercury here at 19 degrees, and this green line you see is the in conjunct or the quincunx to Chiron. Wow, say that 3 times. And that is creating tension towards the healing parts when it comes, like, we may feel like we need to spill how the words that we're saying, like, we may need to get it out. We may need to, like, let everybody know how we're feeling. We're also going to have Venus retrograde trine Chiron at a degree. So you see Venus retrograde is here at 18 degrees and Chiron's at 19. So it's going to be an emotional one. It's going to be an emotional one. Venus retrograde trine Chiron retrograde is that integrating energy of healing your own self-worth wound. Integrating the energy. What are the things that you've learned? What has this Venus retrograde showed you? Where are you falling short on showing up for yourself? When it comes down to it, you guys, this life, the whole purpose of this life is to focus on yourself and becoming the best version of yourself and integrating those soul pieces of yourself and knowing who you are. There isn't like a huge, gigantic life purpose for everybody. There's not just one gigantic life purpose or life meaning for everybody. Your life meaning is you. And so all of this Venus retrograde is very important for that, to learn who you are and how you tick and how you move. And this Leo new moon is going to help usher in a whole new storyline. August 13th, we have the Venus Cazimi that's kind of catalyzing that. And then this new moon is ushering a whole new storyline. So, and that storyline makes you the main character of your life, not anybody else. And some people are going to take it too far and be a little selfish about it, I think. And maybe they have to be selfish about it because they've never been selfish about anything in their life, and it's time. But there's a balance that is occurring when it comes to the node still squaring Pluto here. And when we, this future forward momentum, I can't wait until these nodes are done squaring Pluto because I am ready for the future forward momentum. But when that, that also is going to kind of be like a jerky, really discombobulated movement forward as well. So really excited for the new stories that are going to be happening with this new moon. Super excited for that. Let's get a surrender card and see what it is that we are surrendering for the new moon. Surrender unhealthy relationships. How very fitting. Let go of relationships that don't serve you, including unavailable or toxic people. You deserve to be treasured by others and to be surrounded by positive people. So surrender unhealthy relationships. Like, why am I not surprised that that is the surrender card for this new moon? Not surprised in the least. I think we're going to get some more. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Okay. So clearly there's a decision that needs to be made when it comes to letting go of something. And we have the Sun, we have the Two of Swords, and we have the Five of Cups. Like, I feel like the sun is bringing some clarity to you, but I really feel like you're not listening to it. You're not seeing it for what it is. A lot of times when we really, really, really want something to work out, we refuse to see the negative, toxic sides of things, or we kind of talk ourselves out of it. But this 5 of Cups, because there's a fear here, right? Like, I feel like the reason why you're not wanting to see things for what they actually are, is because you're afraid to lose, right? You're afraid of failure. You're afraid to lose things. The thing is in this 5 of Cups, he's still holding 2 cups there, and he's right next to a beautiful waterfall. The Queen of Cups, the 8 of Swords, and the 7 of Wands. You know, the pain of losing something can shut us down really, really hard, and make it really emotional. I think that's why the Queen of Cups is here, because we're meant to feel the feminine emotional flow during this new moon. We're meant to feel, though, you know, like when we allow the emotions to move through our body, when we allow those emotions to process, right? When we're allowing ourselves to process emotions instead of just staying stagnant in them, it's much easier to get over to the other side. But the 8 of Swords and the 7 of Wands, I feel like this is, you're kind of putting a barrier up. Like, you know, boundaries are awesome, but having boundaries for yourself are better. We're not trying to have boundaries to keep people out. We're trying to have boundaries to allow people in and to like give them the opportunity. You know, we want to have boundaries so that we can be more vulnerable. We want to have boundaries with ourselves so we can be more vulnerable. It's not about keeping people at an arm's length, at an arm's distance all the time. That means that you are afraid to connect. You are afraid of confrontation. You are afraid of getting your heart hurt again, right? So let's clarify with the Sun. 2 of Swords, 5 of Cups. Yeah, so I feel like some of you, these all came out all together. We're just gonna put them the way they are supposed to go. All right. I feel like you are unsure about how to react to a relationship that is absolutely showing you some lessons. We have the 5 of Pentacles on the Sun. So clearly there is a lack mentality that's happening here. And whenever there's a lack mentality, and that lack mentality could come from something that is very real. Maybe it is that you don't have a lot of money. Maybe it is that this is like not feeling necessarily very good about yourself, or feeling like you're an outsider, you know, like it's just not really, you know, so it feels very clear that things are not the way that you would like them to be. The Knight of Wands on the 2 of Swords, you have a decision to make. That 2 of Swords is absolutely saying you have a decision to make, and I don't think that you're paying attention. It's like you don't want to make the decision. And the Knight of Wands is that wishy-washy, back and forth, back and forth. We as humans, especially if you're a loyal human, will stay in a relationship for so long until it has completely destroyed you, until it's completely destroyed both of you, right? So it's really important for you to recognize when it's time, even if you have a strong connection with this person, you have to be willing to recognize when it's time to either look at each other and say, we got to figure out how to make this relationship not toxic to each other, or it's time to walk away. You have to take that accountability. I'm saying that, like, yes, the other person has to take that accountability too, but I'm talking to you right now. And at the end of the day, we are in control and responsible for ourselves, not anybody else, right? So the more that we take control and responsibility for ourselves, the less we're worried about what other people are doing. The Devil, Ace of Wands, and the Hanged Man. The Devil on the Queen of Cups. For some of you, you're dealing with a Capricorn energy, but I feel like what most of you are dealing with is a lesson here. And Saturn is currently in Pisces. So we're learning very emotional lessons, very spiritual lessons, something that's very deep inside of us. And if you're not listening to it, then it's going to be really, really hard for you to be able to make that decision. Ace of Wands. The Eight of Swords is a self-imposed imprisonment of the mind. So when we have the Ace of Wands on top of the self-imposed imprisonment of the mind, you're not going to be able to see that gift, that passionate, fiery, awesome gift coming from the universe if you're all torn up about something else. And this is that kind of self-esteem part, right? And allowing, this is how we sabotage ourselves. This is, as humans, this is how we sabotage ourselves. By not acting on something out of fear. We sabotage ourselves by not acting on something out of fear. And then we have the Hanged Man on the Seven of Wands. Take a break. This feels like a lot of emotional inner work. This feels like a lot of not being able to see what the next part of your journey needs to be. Because there's so much chaos going on and there's so much happening that we can't see past the hand in front of our face. It's wonderful to be in the present moment, but if you're so stuck in a present moment mindset, you can't see the future, right? So you got to find that healthy balance there. The Hanged Man is about pause and reflection and allowing yourself to see things from a different perspective. And it's absolutely time to do that. And if you're stuck in a relationship that's feeling pretty toxic and you're not able to have a conversation about it, and you're not able to communicate about it, this is the time where that separation is happening and that unalignment is happening. And we got to understand that just because we come out of alignment with someone doesn't make them evil. It doesn't make them a bad person. It just means that our paths are going different ways. And yes, that's sad, but it's also very real. Nothing is permanent in life. Let's see what is at the bottom of the deck. Ooh, the High Priestess. Really trust your intuition right now. Really, really trust your intuition right now. I feel like your intuition is probably telling you some things that you need to listen to. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful Leo new moon. And I'm really excited. My calendar in August is booked until the 16th, I think, like just in this week. So I have the second half of August still open. If you would like to get a reading with me, they're 44% off. And I'm really glad that I can offer that for you guys. So love you. Take care of yourselves. Bye.